Hi everyone, this is Robert, and this is the start of a new series on In Deep Geek. We're looking in depth at some of the main characters in Game of Thrones. What makes them act like they do? What do we know about their aims and objectives? What does the future hold for them? We'll mostly be focusing on the TV show, but drawing stuff from the books when it helps. And we're starting with everyone's favourite half-man, Tyrion Lannister. When we first meet him, he is a drunkard and a hedonist. He seems to live simply to enjoy and to explore. He was born into privilege and wealth and is going to use it as much as possible. But we also see his other side, something that seems to set him apart from the other Lannisters. There is care for the underdog, the low and the despised. He takes time to offer advice to Jon and to design a saddle for Bran after he loses the use of his legs. He doesn't do this for thanks or for respect, because he's never had that. Instead, he seems to do it simply because, in his words, he has a tender spot in my heart for cripples and bastards and broken things. His entire life is as an outcast, being called names and laughed at. And so he cares about those who have a similar fate. But most of what we see is not the real Tyrion, but the version of himself he presents to the world. Deep inside he craves respect and love, but has given up on ever getting them. He has built up a hard shell around himself and gets out of trouble the way he always has, with his quick wits and offers of money. Perhaps the single incident that shaped him the most happens before the series starts, when he falls in love and marries in secret, only to find that the woman had been bought for him by his brother. His father punishes him and her by handing her over to the soldiers to be repeatedly raped while he watched. So he built his barriers, never letting anyone in and never letting the world know how he truly feels. But deep down inside, there are two things that he truly, clearly craves above all else: the love of a woman and the respect of his father. Life changes for him at the end of Series 1. Shay comes into his life and he is finally able to open himself up to love someone and believe that they love him back for who he is. And his father finally seems to show him the respect he feels he is due. He makes him Hand of the King. So when Tyrion arrives in King's Landing, he stares down his sister, slaps Joffrey when he needs it, and brilliantly masterminds the defense of the city when Stannis attacks. It is like he is a man reborn, rejuvenated. But this is Game of Thrones, and Tyrion's success and sense of self-worth quickly come crumbling back down. He is denied recognition for saving the city, made scapegoat for Joffrey's murder, and sentenced to death by his own father. Only Varys and Jaime still stick by him. And when he escapes and discovers Shay in his father's bed, the realization of her betrayal pushes him over the edge. Murdering Tywin seems almost like an afterthought. Poetic justice for the man who wished his own son dead. The Tyrion who escapes to Pentos is just a shadow of the man he had been. His life had been given meaning and hope, but it had all been dashed away from him. His self-respect had gone along with his name and wealth. All that was left was the bottom of a wine bottle. The route back hasn't been easy, but Tyrion has slowly started to rebuild himself. The faith of Varys and then Daenerys in making him Hand of the Queen gives him back his sense of self-worth. He has a mission now, to guide Daenerys to the Iron Throne. The most popular wild theory about Tyrion is that he's a secret Targaryen. For those of you not up to speed with this theory, it starts with the fact that Aerys Targaryen, that's the Mad King, took quite a liking to Joanna Lannister, Tywin's wife and Tyrion's mother. It's hinted in the books that he took unwanted liberties with her when he had the chance, which suggests that Tyrion might have a genetic Targaryen father. Or Cersei and Jaime might, of course. This would explain why Tywin hated Tyrion so much. He may have suspected he was another man's son, but he couldn't prove it, and he had to bring him up as a Lannister or face public shame. But this theory really rests on how seriously you take Tywin's last words: "You are no son of mine." Did he mean it literally, or just figuratively? And it also depends on how seriously you take the line that the dragon has 3 heads. There are 3 dragons. Dany rides one, and Jon is presumably another potential dragon rider. So does this mean that we need a 3rd? After all, Tyrion seems quite unnatural at talking to and emoting with the dragons that were locked up. So, is this theory likely? Well, possibly. I think it's more likely in the books than the show. The show hasn't even hinted at there being anything between the Mad King and Joanna Lannister, whereas Jon Snow's true parentage was in question right from the first episode. So, I don't expect this to be a major plotline in the show. Sorry. But the big question about Tyrion is not about his past. It's about his future. What awaits him in the last couple of series? Well, I think we can expect to see him focusing on his new role as Hand of the Queen. Dany is relying on him and Varys to know who she should ally with and who she should wage war on. He has, after all, met most of the other major characters at some point. And she will need his counsel when deciding what to do when she is finally told about the White Walkers. The Tyrion we saw back in Series 1 mocked the idea of the others, but now he has grown and seen more of the world. I think we will actually see him be one of the key people advising her to turn her attention north of the Wall. On a personal level, his big confrontation with Cersei is also looming. She has resented him since birth, and that turned to hatred when she blamed him for Joffrey's murder. She undoubtedly will still want him dead. Will he get his revenge? I actually hope not. I hope that he has the chance to kill her and shows mercy. He has grown as a human being and doesn't need vengeance like that anymore. And I think it is for someone else to kill her. But more about that in another video. I hope that Tyrion ends up getting what he deserves, recognition and a challenge worthy of his talents. And I think he will. Perhaps as Hand to the Queen if Daenerys takes the Iron Throne, or perhaps as Lord of Casterly Rock if he is heir after Jaime after all. But I don't think he will get the thing he craves the most, the love of a woman. At least not in this story. The ending will be bittersweet for Tyrion, not a fairy tale. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, or subscribe so I know to make more like this one. And if you want to be more involved in deciding on future content, or if you just want to support me in this channel so I can devote more of my time to making videos, please visit my Patreon page. Details are in the show notes. Thanks everyone. That's all for this time, and I'll see you again real soon.